You've been told symbols are decorations, artistic flourishes, meaningless shapes humans invented to entertain themselves. But what if that was never true? What if the symbols scattered across your life, the ones appearing in dreams, the numbers that repeat, the patterns you cannot explain, were never random? What if they were messages, not written in words, but whispers of a forgotten language, designed to help you remember who you truly are? A language older than scripture, older than civilization itself, engineered to transcend ordinary words and peer directly into your subconscious. And here lies the uncomfortable truth the mystics warned about. If symbols can awaken you, then opposing forces must be committed to ensuring you never learn how to read them. For thousands of years, Gnostic teachings spoke of subtle forces called archons that invert and distort the very symbols meant to guide you back toward your inner light. It was a doorway between the seen and the unseen, making the profound appear trivial and the map of awakening look like nothing more than random patterns. But once you understand the real language of symbols, you will start seeing the world as it truly is, not as it was designed to appear. Long before written language, before empires carved their stories into stone, human beings communicated through something older, deeper, and far more intelligent than spoken words. Across the ancient world, archaeologists uncover the same recurring symbols, spirals, hands, eyes, serpents, and stars, appearing in cultures separated by vast distances, yet united by a shared symbolic intelligence. Not because these symbols were invented, but because they were remembered. To the ancient world, a symbol was not simply a drawing. This is where the Gnostics offered one of their most misunderstood teachings, that the world is not made of literal things, but of signs, not words, but living archetypes. As the Gospel of Philip states, truth did not come into the world naked, but in types and images. To them, reality itself was symbolic. Matter was not the final truth, but a patterned reflection of higher realms. Everything you see, shapes, numbers, cycles, even the geometry of your own body, was a coded reminder of your origin in the pleroma. But over time, something shifted. As civilizations rose, so did structured systems of authority. Symbols that were once sacred maps of remembering were repurposed, guarded by priests, adopted by rulers, and gradually reshaped by institutions to fit their cultural narratives. Then came the age of literalism, when the symbolic language that once guided the soul was reduced to superstition. The pull is instinctive, almost like a faint echo from the divine spark, remembering its own story across lifetimes. So according to the Gnostics, the archons did not destroy symbols. They inverted them, twisting sacred reminders into their own opposites. The serpent, once a symbol of wisdom and cyclical renewal, became a villain. The eye, once the emblem of inner vision, became a symbol of fear. The flame, the dove, the tree, the star, what once pointed inward was recast as something external and superstitious. But as humanity forgot its oldest language, a faint residue remained. Even now, people feel drawn to certain symbols without knowing why. They dream them, wear them, notice them repeating throughout their lives. A symbol is a switch, a key, a memory trigger, and a human who remembers their origin steps beyond their influence. What if you were not learning symbols, but remembering them? The Gnostics believed the soul does not speak in words. It speaks in images, patterns, and archetypes, the language of higher realms before incarnation. When you encounter a symbol with power, something in you whispers, "I know this," even if your conscious mind cannot explain why. That is why symbols bypass logic, why a simple shape can trigger emotion or clarity, and why certain patterns feel alive, as though they are looking back at you. But in Gnostic mythology, the archons understood this as well. They knew symbols do not just represent meaning, they activate it. The archons emptied them, severing their true meaning completely. They did something far more subtle. They disconnected them from their meaning. Imagine being handed a map but never learning how to read it. The map remains, the symbols remain, but the person stays lost. That is how Gnostic texts describe the iconic influence at its core. Think of the spiral, one of the oldest symbols on Earth. To the ancients, it represented the journey inward, the unfolding of consciousness. the path back to source. Every mystic tradition used it, and every ancient culture carved it. You were meant to feel them and let them awaken what logic has forgotten. Why sacred geometry feels familiar even if you have never studied it. Why some symbols seem to vibrate or pulse with an energy you cannot explain. It is because every symbol operates on two levels. The first is the shape your eyes see, the outer pattern. The second is the quiet stirring that rises inside you, the inner awakening, the sense that something ancient is moving just beneath the surface of your awareness. In Gnostic mythology, the archons can distort outer meaning, but they cannot touch that inner activation. This is why symbols have survived every empire, every religion, every attempt to rewrite knowledge. Symbols are not decorations or intellectual artifacts. You are not from here. You only fell asleep within the illusion. Symbols do not teach you something new. They help you remember something ancient and timeless. The Gnostics believed certain symbols were so powerful, so revealing, the archons worked tirelessly distorting them, not because the symbols were rare, but because they revealed who you are beneath the illusion. The first group are the symbols of origin, reminders of where you came from. Throughout ancient texts, the same images appear again and again: the circle, the lotus, the womb, the light and the darkness. These were not symbols of physical birth. They pointed to your true beginning, the moment the divine spark entered the realm of form and matter. To the Gnostics, these symbols were memory triggers whispering, "You came from the realm of fullness." These images were never decorative. They represent you. Every culture had a version of this: the ladder, the mountain, the upward triangle, the tree reaching toward the heavens, the rising sun, even the serpent ascending the spine. These symbols appeared everywhere because they described the same truth. Your consciousness has the ability to rise beyond the world of forgetfulness. And whenever a symbol of ascent appeared, distortion followed. The serpent, which once symbolized transformation and awakening, was later cast as a deceiver. The tree of divine knowledge became forbidden, because the archons understand something most people never realize. Once you remember the path upward, you stop looking outward, and the moment you turn inward, their influence begins to dissolve. Once you begin noticing, the world shifts, and coincidence becomes communication between you and something deeper. How do you let them awaken the memory they were designed to unlock? First, understand that symbols do not work through effort. They work through resonance. You do not force them to reveal meaning. You allow them to speak in the language they were always meant to speak: intuition, imagery, feeling. The simplest beginning is to notice what pulls you throughout your day. Symbols appear everywhere: circles, eyes, spirals, triangles, stars, trees, and repeating numbers. Instead of ignoring them, pause. Ask what part of me is responding to this single question. Do not look up meanings or search for explanations. Pay attention to the one image that lingers: the eye, the spiral, the triangle, the star. Sit with it briefly. Let it rest in your awareness like a pebble settling into still water. Notice what stirs inside you: an emotion, a memory, a sensation. This is the soul speaking. Symbols reveal themselves through feeling long before understanding arrives. Meaning can be manipulated, but resonance cannot. Which is why the archons tried to weaken symbols of power, because resonance is entirely beyond their reach, and this is where your true power awakens. Not by escaping the world, but by reading it. Not by fighting illusion, but by understanding its ancient and living language. Let it rest there like a candle flame in a dark room. Notice what rises: an image, a memory, a whisper of insight. This is how symbols activate deeper layers of consciousness, not through force, but through familiarity. The final practice is to let the world become a symbolic mirror. Assume nothing you notice is random, not the symbols you dream, not the ones that repeat, not the ones appearing at strange moments. Treat them as reflections of your inner state. A symbol appearing in your day is a whisper. Pay attention. Something is shifting. This is not superstition. It is perception. It only needed to be awakened, recognized, and finally remembered. They were meant to be reminders. Reminders of your origin, your path, your identity, your power. But over time, their meanings were trivialized or simply drowned in a world trained to keep you looking outward. And that is the irony. The archons did not hide the symbols. They simply engineered the forgetfulness that keeps you from seeing yourself in them. Because the moment you remember that symbols are not decorations, that they are mirrors, something shifts. You stop seeing the world as random. You stop seeing yourself as small. You stop believing the lie that meaning exists only out there. Instead, you begin to feel the deeper truth. Reality is layered with signs, and they speak to you because they were meant for you.